all yours, Sarah.
Hi, friends. Happy December 1st. One more month in the wacky wild year of 2021 together. And then we round the corner into 2022. Who else is like, what the heck? Where did life go this year? Just me? Just you? I see some nods. I see some voodoo fingers happening. All right. So Broker Bob has a lot of good stuff to get to today. So I will not spend too long staring at your faces, although I love to. And let's get started with our welcomes for new additions. This actually it was in November because today's 12/1. So first of all, welcome Shola. Shola Walker has joined us in the past week or so. Irasima, who I believe likes to go by Seema, and if she can correct me, I think she's even on here, but Seema is excited to join us. We have also Jerome. Jerome Price has come on board. Dana too, and Francisco has come. He's joined us from Santa Monica. He moved back down to San Diego. So welcome to all you guys. Welcome to the Metro family. Super excited to have you here. And does anyone have any buckets to fill as we start this lovely month together?
I have a bucket to fill.
Go, Wes.
I have a bucket to fill for Drew for being so helpful for our move. We consolidated offices, Ed and I, on the 3rd floor. So we're all in one office space now. And he was super helpful in getting the network all situated and all the stuff that we have to do in the office. And so I appreciate him. Thank you for all your help, Drew.
Nice work, Drew. Drew is probably busy transmitting at this moment in time for month end, but I love that. And I love that you two can torture each other like good old brothers now, popping back and forth. That's great. Thanks, Wes. Who else? Anybody else want to share something awesome? We just had Thanksgiving after all. I'm going to shout out to Chris Spade, who got buckets and buckets and buckets of amazing food for the San Diego Food Bank in our market center. There were garbage cans, the huge ones. Did we end up with 3 full, Chris, at the end?
Yep, 3 full buckets of food, about 600 pounds worth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So thanks for spearheading that for us and getting that momentum going. And you guys, the food bank is an all year long thing. So I know we always think of it at Thanksgiving, but if you want to use that in your own farm or have the info or give yourself throughout the year, and especially as we continue into Christmas and the holidays through the first of the year, please reach out to Chris or myself, or Ariana has the flyer, and we can get you that information to get that going as well. Anybody else want to give a shout?
I do.
Yeah.
Peggy
Hey,
Rose. Yeah. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Paul Tolentino because of his support, his tireless support, his knowledge. You guys, he has so much knowledge, and he's kind of a newer agent, and he's, kind of blowing the doors open with his business. And he has so much value to share with me. I've been here 15 years, and I so appreciate all the conversations that I've had with him and the meetings that I've had with him. And I tell you, I'm really a changed person because of it. And I want to thank him.
Aw. You guys might not know that Paul's actually shy, but I see him with a little smirk right now going on. I was surprised to learn that myself. So, Peggy, I love that share. Thank you so much. Paul, you are a treasure trove and you give so much. So thank you for sharing all your great social media knowledge and all the good stuff you've learned and bring from your financial background coming in. Thanks for that share, Peggy. We have time for one more. If anyone else has some goodness to give out.
Sure. This is Dan Becker.
Hey, Dan.
Hey there. Hey, I just want to fill Mark Miller's bucket. He is always there for each of us all the time, but he's been there particularly this last week when I've had a couple of really big questions that needed help and assistance, and he's right there if you need it. And I just really appreciate him and all of the work he does to help make sure that we get our paperwork done and we get our paycheck. So thanks, Mark.
Aw, thanks for that, Dan. Mark, I saw you cover your face. I'm not sure if it was a napkin or a shy moment, but either way, I love it. And we were talking about that on the staff call yesterday, how many great questions there have been coming from you guys with contracts and getting your offers done and your deals held together. So congratulations. We are so lucky to have Mark and Robert as our masters of contracts and compliance. And that's a great segue for today. And it's a great segue for the fact that we crushed November. The numbers are coming in, being finalized for transmittal. And y'all, we had the best November ever in company dollar. And that means the best November ever for you guys. So ever, as far as I can see in my multi-year trends, I can't go back to the beginning of ever, but past 10 years, past 10 years anyway. So, all right, Evie, do you want to shout out our trainings coming up?
Yes, ma'am. So we're still doing scripts practice with SJ Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays at 8:30, and then Coach K on Fridays at 8:30. Those that are registered for Bold, we have step 6 next week. Tuesday, December 7th, same room, Bayview at 9 a.m. And then tomorrow we have Sarah's morning masterminds at right after scripts. So that's also going to be via Zoom. Sarah, did you want to share any more on that masterminds?
It's just, I had done this a couple of months ago, and now I want to have it be a regular thing for you guys. We're going to really be whatever's going on in the world right now. The Command app is just launched. There's so much going on in social media. There's year-end stuff, like what is your marketing, what's going on in your business, and it will truly be a mastermind of the moment. So bring your questions, bring your ideas. I'll share my feedback on things that work and how to grow your business. And it will be a new thing every week. So come and ask and speak out loud. All right, that's the upcoming step. Yep. Thanks, love. All right, Broker Bob. We've got a lot of coaching highlights to get through.
We do, Sarah. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get through this so we can get on with the rest of the agenda. But we do want to celebrate these people that are making great strides in the coaching program with all of our fantastic coaches that we have on staff. On Team Alicia, congratulations to Eric. Close another escrow, open an escrow on his own listing. And Paul opened an escrow on his own listing and closed a new construction escrow. Great job, Paul. On Team Clarissa, Min got a new BRE signed. And by the way, Eric and Paul and Min are all in growth. And Carlos, who's in growth, got a BRE signed and opened an escrow on the buyer's first offer submitted. Great job, Carlos. What's your little secret? I think we want to know. And Dahlia got a BRE signed and opened an escrow, and she's actually in launch. And rounding out the coaching roster, Coach Carl. Great job to Lawrence, who closed an escrow with his buyer and took another listing. He's in growth. Matt Thornburg opened 2 new escrows, signed up with growth coaching again. So he's on round 2, second year, and is about to have his coaching paid off for the entire year from just his first 2 deals in growth. Talk about keeping on track and investing in yourself. Great job, Matt. And Corrine closed an escrow on her listing in growth. Alex opened up his first escrow in launch. Great job, Alex. And Melissa got her first BRE signed, got another BRE signed a couple days later, and then opened up her first escrow, and she is in launch. Great job to kick it off in launch. Keep that and openings coming, guys. Great job. And back to you, Sarah.
It's so good. All of those great celebrations happen. And you guys saw I posted last night, or maybe you didn't see and go check it out. The past few months, I've been posting all of the agents who qualify for month wins and for year-to-date wins in the region. And the region is made up of over 4,500 Keller Williams agents in Orange and San Diego counties. So this month, we had 29 individuals, groups, and teams from our market center qualify in the top. And I highlight when you're in top 5, 10, or 20, and it shows where you are depending on what the category is. You guys, that's a lot of amazing humans in our office who are doing crushing business things. And yes, the market is on fire and amazing. And it's also really competitive. And the feedback I'm getting is like, it's the most competitive market people have ever seen in the history of ever to get deals done and contracts done. So getting deals done on the first offer, just having a strong year regardless. And that 29 of you and it's more because the groups and teams, I'm only counting as one, right? So 29 celebrations is a huge number. And we'll keep doing that every month. We'll have year-end stuff in December. In December, we'll post in November. And I want to keep celebrating you guys. So you have this in your social to go out and share and be proud of yourself, whether it's one thing or 20 things that you make on that list. Go out there and share that and use your social to tell people, hey, this is me. I'm crushing my business. I'm doing a ton of work and you should work with me because here's my post where someone else is celebrating my success. If you guys have any questions about those, I know sometimes I get asked questions about specifics. I have a whole, 350-page PDF from the region that breaks it all down. So feel free to ask me individual questions about them as you get success stories as well. Okay, moving on to our lovely movement mortgage folks. I know I saw a bunch of your faces. Who's going to talk today?
Why is it frozen?
It's not frozen.
Wesley was going
Technical difficulty, I'm back. Okay. We wanted to let you know that the Federal Housing Finance Agency came out and they raised the loan limits. That's going to be super helpful since the house prices have gone up so much through the pandemic and continue to do so. So now you can get up to $647,200 for our conforming limit, or like that first bucket. Think of it like 3 buckets. The first bucket goes up to $647,200. You can put 3% down. The second bucket goes up to $879,750. You can put as little as 5% down. Now anything over that is jumbo, and you have to put 10% down. Excuse me. We're also going to have a class after this meeting, immediately after. So if you have time, hang around. That's going to cover credit for you. We have our credit expert, Nicole Soares, that's going to be joining us, and she's going to be going over how to help better identify and vet clients when it comes to credit or different obstacles, and just understanding better the whole process so that you sound like more of an expert when you're in your consults with your agents and they bring up credit questions. That way you know how to respond and you know how to sound like the knowledgeable professional that you are. So if you want to hang around, we are bringing her to you live. Just stay on this Zoom and we will see you then. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Wes. Everyone who hasn't already sat through that and doesn't know how to answer the questions on credit or who to connect people with should be listening to that and learning to grow your business. That's a knowledge base that's really important for your clients as they're starting the process. And remember, it's also for your sellers, because if they're selling, how's their credit? Because where are they going? And that's important. And people don't always think about that when they list the property. So make sure you're well-rounded in that conversation and not afraid to have the conversation.
And people have misperceptions all the time. It's super common. And so this is going to be a great resource to help you just dispel all those misconceptions that are out there.
Thank you, Wes. And Justin, I saw you. It's you or Nicole. I saw your face pop up.
Hey guys, it's Justin at A+ Escrow. Hey, just real quick, we wanted to introduce to you our third escrow officer here at A+ Escrow. This is Melissa Castro. Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
So we now have 3 full-time on staff, full in the office escrow officers to help with your building business. We obviously, if you've walked by our office and the door's been open, you can tell we're still remodeling, but we are still here from 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we are excited to take in any of your new business. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks, you guys. Welcome to the family, and thanks for always bringing a little joy to our afternoons, Justin.
My pleasure.
All right, Bridget Potterton. We've got some good culture stuff coming up.
So actually, I have to start out with the bad news and then we'll get to the good news. The bad news is we aren't going to be doing a virtual holiday party this year, guys. I know you loved it last year. I know, but we are going to be in person for the first holiday party in 2 years. Eve has been working very hard on making this event special, as always. It's going to be at the Lot, December 17th. The Lot is where we had our award ceremony a couple months back, and we've done a couple KW events there, so you should all know where it is in Mission Valley. We're going to do the same thing we did last time. So if you don't recall, you get 1 free drink ticket. So if you like to drink, make friends with somebody in our office who does not drink, okay? one free drink ticket per person, and then it's going to be $5 after that. Or we will probably do wristbands for $25, all you can drink. Now we are going to do beer and wine, no hard alcohol, so we can kind of keep things, under control. Just real quick in the chat, out of curiosity, if you drink beer or wine, would you just put in the chat which one you have? I just want to get a gauge for alcohol. One year, Ed and I bought all the alcohol and we ran out of wine in like 30 minutes because apparently we have a lot of wine drinkers and not so many beer. So if you could just throw it in the chat if you think you like beer or wine. If you don't drink either, just please don't put anything. And so I think that's all the details for then. As far as dress, you can wear what you want. We are going to be doing, some of our office likes to really dress up, and that's cool. If you want to wear your prom dress, bring your prom dress. If you want to wear like nice pants or a nice outfit, whatever you want to do, totally fine. I know last time we did the ugly sweater party on virtual, but this time we'll probably be a little bit fancier just to step it up, but wear what you're comfortable in. Let us know if you have any questions, but please RSVP so we can get an account for food and alcohol. And if you have any questions, just let us know in the chat and make sure you RSVP. Eve sent out an event invite on Facebook. You should have also gotten an email, and then she also has been posting the links on the Facebook page. So one of those three should have reached you. Just RSVP as soon as you can for December 17th, and we will see you guys then. Thank you. Oh, also, thanks for everybody who helped out with the potluck. That was really fun. And wow, we had a lot of turkey. So we look forward to doing more potlucks next year. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bridget. I know we're bummed to not have a virtual ugly sweater party together, and somehow we will muster through and have cocktails in person instead. So thanks for that. And Evie has been crushing the planning. So thanks for your patience and for sticking with us on this one, you guys. Okay. We're going to do property pitches. So get your brain power going there and post your buyer needs other places. And I want to really quick remind you of a couple of things. We have the new real estate school. I've been posting things everywhere, and I know I don't always reach everyone. This is free real estate school for anyone in your world. In the state of California, it's in most states. So if you have people in other places who want to go to real estate school, let me know and I'll get you connected to the right places to get that done. And you're helping people change their life for free to them for the pre-licensing courses. And then you're also building your future generational wealth through profit share and sharing the gift of Keller Williams with them. So don't be shy about that. Reach out, connect with me, ask questions. We're here to help you get those people signed up. We also have something that just launched today called KW Prep School. So that's going to be for anyone once they're done with pre-licensing. It's going to be 17 modules that are 2 to 7 minutes long that give you step-by-step business building pieces. So for newer agents or for people who are done with pre-licensing and in the state testing process, that's something we can share with them. So pretty much to sum it up really quickly and not steal all Broker Bob's time, anyone in your whole world that's doing anything with real estate school, send them to us because we have free tools that can help them tackle and succeed before they even start, not only locally, but anywhere in the state or in the country. Okay. So don't be afraid to make that connection. Some of us have sponsored like 10 agents already into real estate school and giving that gift. So think of who do you know and who could you change their life and give them this gift for free to get going. Okay. Property pitches. Who has them?
I have one. Amy Bloom. Hi, I have a little condo coming up in City Heights. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It's currently rented. We could try to sell it off market to a KW agent representing their buyer. Right now, the tenant has just been given their 90 days notice. It is a Section 8 tenant, so the rent has been pretty secure. I'm thinking we're going to be on the market somewhere in the mid 450 range. It was a condo conversion about 15 years ago, so it's still in pretty decent shape. I'm going to take a look at it Friday just to make sure it doesn't need any repairs. But if you guys have any investors that are looking for a decent rental opportunity in a lower price range, please let me know and we can try to sell it off market so they don't have to wait the entire 90 days to put it on the market.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else really quick?
I have a, sorry, over here.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
I have a 3-bed, 2-bath condo coming up right off of Ocean View Boulevard. Just went live today. Really nicely kept. Comes with all the everything in the kitchen, fridge, stove, everything. Obviously, just really nice.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Emily, I see your hand up.
Yep, I've got also a little one, a 1-1 condo, 713 square feet, Allied Gardens, all nicely done, move-in ready. And it's up for 325. I think it'll go a little bit over that based on the comps because it's the larger one on the in the area. So it's 6120 Decina. It's in coming soon status now. We'll go live tomorrow and showings will start Friday. And we're gonna have an open house on Saturday from 1 to 3.
Excellent. And all of y'all, please post your stats in the chat so everybody can see it if they didn't hear all the details as they came out. Nikki, I saw your hand up, and then we'll go right to Broker Bob with all of the good stuff with the new RPA.
Okay, great. I'll make this really quick. PB property, it's one that's been on the market for a while. Buyer unfortunately defaulted. So what was originally on market at 1.8, if you came to me with an offer at 1.175 for 2, not 1, but 2 PB APNs that they can level, it's designation CC-4-2, which is heavy commercial, but allows for a dwelling on each 1,500 square foot lot. Let me know ASAP. Thank you.
Excellent. And if anybody else has them, please go ahead and throw them in the chat, and same with buyer needs. And then we have the new RPA coming out, you guys, and Broker Bob has got a lot to deliver on that. So take it away, Robert. Ground control to Major Bob. Where did you go?
I'm here, sorry.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Can everybody see the screen? If not, let me know. If not, I'm gonna move forward with
We
it.
see it,
Fantastic.
BB.
Okay, perfect. So here we are, December already. Great job, everybody, for this year. Glad you're all alive, healthy, happy, and hope you have a great holiday season if I don't get to see you. So here's what we're gonna talk about today on risk management. We're gonna do some hot topics, updated COVID protocols. I have a NAR ethics requirement I need to remind you people of. We'll have a guest speaker today I'll introduce in a few minutes. And I always mention, read Mark's initial review and final review messages and any questions, which will probably be covered with our guest speaker. Okay, as you know, and if you don't know, your head's been in the sand all year. The new RPA is going to be released this month. We think about December 14th. That means if you have not taken the time to sit in on multiple classes that have been offered, then you need to go to our YouTube page, look for the new RPA class, and sit in for the 3 hours that Mark and I gave it. We will not be doing one-on-one stuff after the 14th when all of a sudden a new RPA pops into the templates. You will be completely responsible for learning. And if you have not taken that time to do that, don't expect any sympathy from me or Mark. So get to learning if you guys haven't learned yet. Highly recommend, because on the 14th, the new RPA pops in and you will not have access to the old RPA anymore. Now, if you have an escrow that has been opened up prior to the 14th, it will be used the old RPA. So you don't have to update the new RPA after the 14th with that existing escrow. But anything that's opened up after and consummated after the 14th, you're going to have to know how to fill in that new RPA. And it's 16 pages, not 10. And so you're going to have to know how to use it. If you don't know where our YouTube site is, you just go to YouTube and put in the search bar, Keller Williams Realty San Diego Metro. Go to our playlists and look under the playlist for contract training. And in the contract training, look for the new RPA. It's a 2-series session that Mark and I did. So that's enough about that. Okay, updated COVID protocols. Okay, so until this little bugger gets out of our system, it's going to be around for a long time. So nothing new has changed other than if you are unvaccinated coming to our office, you're putting a mask on. And if you can't prove that you're vaccinated, you're putting a mask on. If you are vaccinated and you've given your vaccination card to Ariana, you can walk around without a mask, or a mask if you choose. And that will be the policy moving forward until further notice. Okay, every every 3 years, you might have missed that this was changed a couple of years ago, that you are required to take an ethics training and submit to NAR. And so how do you know if you are up to date with your ethics training? Because every 3 years is different than your every 4 years when you need to renew your license. So some of you might be unaware that you are out of step with that training. So how do you find that out? You go to nar.realtor and check your status. You will need your NERDS number, NRDS. That is your National Association number. It's also your car number. And when you log in, you're going to go under check my status, and it will show you if you have an updated code of ethics completed status. After, and it's a 3-year training cycle beginning January 2022. So after January 2022, if you have not done the recent update, every 3 years, 2025, to do an updated status. Otherwise, they will pull your NAR membership, and you don't want that to happen. Okay. So just be aware of that. Go check that out and see if you need to do an ethics training, because we need ethics in this industry. Okay. So without further ado, I'm pleased to present, and I have a guest speaker here this month, a really great guy that I work closely with at the association. And I'd like to introduce Ryan Maxon. He's the Vice President of Government Affairs, and it's a big long title. Sorry, Ryan, I can't remember all of it. But basically what he is our advocate for you with all the stuff that goes on politically behind the scenes to make sure that we are able to sell homes, which is what we do. And there's a lot of stuff that's on the burner coming up that I asked Ryan to come and talk about, because it's going to not only your product, but it will affect your ability to have more inventory to sell. And so he's going to talk about this, and it's important from a standpoint in your business as a business owner to be aware of this and be an advocate and make sure that your voice is heard with the local governing authorities. So without further ado, Ryan, I'm sorry I butchered your full title, but I'll let you say the full thing if you want to.
Thank you so much. And no, you did great. It's Vice President of Government and Public Affairs, but the government affairs is the most important component here, certainly today with the conversation that we're about to have. But I'd first like to start by thanking you so much for inviting me back. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. As was mentioned, I am your advocate. Another way of saying this is I'm the lobbyist for the organization. I work with several of our members where we operate through a committee structure, as many of you might know, where individuals such as Broker Bob serve on these committees. And I can tell you his work is tremendously appreciated. And he is one of the most respected brokers that I've come across in the industry. So you are certainly fortunate to have him at your disposal as you do. But
I paid him to say that, by the way. I'll give you your money later, Ryan. Okay.
Just waiting for that check to clear. But no, I am very grateful again for that. And as mentioned with the committee structure, on the government affairs side of things, we have a government affairs committee comprised of realtors who get together monthly, and we actually meet tomorrow, where we look at issues that could impact the industry. The realtors make recommendations on our positions, which ultimately are decided upon by the board of directors. Once that takes place, I'm given kind of a little bit of free rein to move forward, do a call for action that you hopefully have seen, where we engage our members in the process, asking them to reach out to elected officials to recommend opposition or support for certain issues. So with that, I have a presentation. I'll see if I can share my screen here. Are you able to view that all right?
Yeah, perfect.
Wonderful. All right. So I think NAR says it best right here. If real estate is your profession, then politics is your business. For any of you that do not realize the impact of government on our industry, I can tell you it will make or break your business. And certainly a lot of what has taken place locally is tremendously concerning and could be very impactful. You probably hear a lot about what's taking place at the state and federal level. We indeed have a very strong lobbying presence at the through the California Association of Realtors and certainly the National Association of Realtors, where I work with my counterparts at each level of government. We're responsible for making sure that we advocate on all issues here locally. You may have seen private property rights is a big go-to for us at all levels. That is something that we always engage in. But you might have seen a lot of fights around the independent contractor status of our members. This has come up over the past couple of years, and you may recall AB 5 came down last legislative cycle. And what that did was it attempted to strike the independent contractor status eligibility from several industries. You may have noticed at the time that realtors were not included because we were successful in getting a carve out for our industry. You may have also seen that Uber and Lyft were not so successful. In fact, that required them to then engage in a $200 million statewide ballot campaign to overturn the outcome of that law and allow for their drivers to have the independent contractor status. So essentially our success in advocacy prevented us from having to spend that $200,000 to run a statewide campaign. In addition, keeping real estate essential. As everything was shutting down in 2020 because of COVID, you might recall that real estate at the time was also shut down. We were not initially deemed essential service. Fortunately, and I think we're the only industry to do so, we were able to get that overturned and get a carve out for realtors after this decision was made. So that opened up our industry and allowed us to continue working once again. And then for new taxes and fees on real estate, this always comes up, more so now, I would say, than I've seen in the past. And a lot of that is because we are seeing our local municipalities that are struggling with their budgets right now. And so they're looking at our industry, which they see as ripe for the pickings in terms of new fees. And housing supply. I think Broker Bob says it best. If we're not building, we're limiting what we can sell. So we need houses to sell. That's going to be impacting your business directly. And so housing supply is something we've weighed in on for several years, including in 2017 when we partnered with the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, putting together a housing scorecard, looking at development across each of the cities throughout the county, and of course, highlighting the fact that we were only building about 50% of the need on any given year, which, as you can imagine, and as we are witnessing, is problematic. As you can see here, we have several issues, and this just kind of gets at high level issues. We definitely have more to come and more to add to this list, to say the least. But you'll also see that we have two lawmakers there pictured. The reason why is because we have, due to this last election cycle, we have new leadership at the city of San Diego, as well as the county of San Diego. We have new Mayor Todd Gloria, as well as County Board Chair Nathan Fletcher. And what I like to say is, with new leadership comes new priorities, and we are seeing that. I'm going to cover a few of the issues: vehicle miles traveled, new taxes on real estate, some resiliency plan update dealing with sea level rise, as well as additional taxes for vacancy and parcel. We don't need to get too much into the weeds on things such as the just cause evictions and rent cap issues that have already come through. We've already discussed that in the past, but I will say this: some of these issues are moving forward rapidly. When that issue came forward, it was dropped on a Thursday evening. That next day was Friday. It was Good Friday. This was coming up for a vote on Tuesday. So when they were moving what was and what is the largest evictions moratorium, the most extensive evictions moratorium in the entire state, they gave almost no notice. And I can tell you that was intentional. They didn't want anybody to be able to have time to be organized and respond to this. So I would ask, and I'm going to put in a plug later as well, but I would ask this: when you see a call for action come through, when you see Broker Bob reach out and say, hey guys, we need to move on this, I tell you what, I can't tell you how important it is that we do so. I spent 7 years out in Washington, D.C. working for an elected official, and I can tell you firsthand how impactful it is when we get those phone calls, when we get those emails from individuals telling us their thoughts and feelings on these particular issues. And we make it very simple for you. You can take action in less than 3 minutes. using some of the action centers that we put together for you. So please, again, do so.
So Ryan, I'll just break that down so they understand it. Realtor speak. When that eviction moratorium happened, you guys probably remember you weren't able to sell any tenant occupied property that had to have the tenant removed from it. So it took a whole lot of inventory off the market and created havoc for you guys. So that's when Ryan says call to action, and the way they drop that. And my favorite conservative is on here, Joe Fair. I agree with you on this. It was not right. There should have been a little bit more public debate on it. Anyway, sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, and I would like to say that was the only situation, only time that happened, but certainly not. I'll give you another example in a moment. But for the new tax proposals, as I had kind of alluded to, the real question here is, should real estate be the primary target to fill local budget gaps and fund affordable housing? And for many out there, the answer is yes. And here are just a few of the taxes that we're seeing coming through. First one, you may have caught this earlier this year. They were exploring a vacancy tax. In other words, what they were looking at is vacancy rates. So homes or condos, apartments that were empty for 6 months or more throughout the year. What they were looking at here, they were duplicating or looking to duplicate what took place in Vancouver in 2017. What that city did was they put in place a tax on anybody that allowed their home or their unit to sit vacant for 6 months or more. And that came to 1% of the property value. For this year, they bumped it up to 3%. So not surprising, there are some at City Council that thought, hey, that might be a great way to raise revenue. So they completed the first part of this, which was to conduct a study. And in that study, they found that about 1% of the city's housing units sit empty for 6 months or more throughout the year, which, to be honest with you, I'm shocked that it's that low. And I think they were as well. I don't foresee a big tax coming through at this time, but they might do something targeted. For instance, if there's a large concentration of that 1%, is it in one area such as downtown? And if so, they might look at creative ways to address that. Transfer tax. Our own friends at the Building Industry Association were actually considering and indeed doing some testing around the potential for a transfer tax. And what that would do, it would apply additional taxes every time, and it would apply to either the buyer or seller, depending on how they write it, for any time a property is sold. This was used to fund affordable housing. Parcel tax. City of San Diego, there's a group exploring and already circulating some signatures to qualify a ballot initiative to put in place parcel taxes to pay for new parks and services. And finally, vehicle mileage tax. This one is the big one that you all probably seen coming through SANDAG, the San Diego Association of Governments. What they're looking at is a way to fund primarily their big 5 moves, which is a heavy, significant investment in fixed transit throughout the region. And ultimately, what this will be paying for is a $160 billion infrastructure plan. This is only one of several taxes included. And what makes this kind of unique is it moves our taxation structure from, well, actually it adds, but they claim it's going to be moving it from your gas tax, where you pay based off the gallon, to they're actually looking to track how many miles you travel in your car. And they're going to tax you for that. As you can imagine, this brings up a whole slew of issues, not the least of which is privacy concerns. And by that is, how are they going to know how many miles you're traveling in your car at any given time? There's talk of tracking devices or maybe just individual reporting. This story is not yet told. What we are seeing right now going through SANDAG and what they're going to be looking at on December 10th, they are looking at authorizing this initial plan, and this is just one of many proposals. This tax will actually have to go to the ballot for ultimate approval. So we are definitely tracking that. We are going to be weighing in on December 10th, and I might actually be reaching out to some of you guys to do the same thing. This vehicle miles tax, it's 4 cents per gallon. And this would also be in addition to the gas tax you're already paying for. So the concern here, of course, is they are just finding new ways to tax us for use of the roads, which we've already paid for, and we're looking to pay for the wear and tear. So be on the lookout for additional information on that. But what I want you all to know, and what I'm hoping that you can do, is be advocates for our industry in the community. So as people talk about how real estate is doing and how it's so successful and how it is right for the pickings, they should keep in mind a few things. For instance, San Diego County real estate values hit record highs for the 9th year in a row. Why does that matter? Well, a lot of the taxes, property taxes, are based off of the property, the assessed property value. So that means when you do better in the industry, the local municipality does better. So it's a win-win. In fact, San Diego County assessed values increased by $22.5 billion in 2020 alone. Real estate is one thing that is really propping up our local municipalities and assisting their budgets already. And even more so, estimates show that a typical home sale has an economic impact of $196,000. In no way should they be doing anything such as a transfer tax that would risk any transactions from moving forward. And already your industry, the real estate industry in California, accounts for almost 22% of the gross state product, amounting to almost $700 billion. So that is certainly something to crow about. But getting into one of the big issues that's come down here, vehicle miles traveled. This is different from the vehicle miles taxed. What we're looking at here is asking this very question. Should the County Board of Supervisors impose a moratorium on housing development on county lands, especially during a housing crisis? There are some of the County Board of Supervisors that think, yes, we should be doing that. And I know this broker Bob was in the initial briefing that we did on this, and he immediately saw the issue and concern, and certainly the holes around what they are trying to accomplish. What has taken place at the Board of Supervisors, as mentioned, we have new leadership in place. Well, last year, the previous leadership put in place, they approved a process by which they would be assessing the impact of any new housing development. So in other words, they were asked based off of state law to move how we are currently assessing new housing developments, which is through level of service. And that's done through CEQA. We look at how that development will impact any new, road congestion. And so you can look at measures such expanding roads, synchronizing stoplights to address some of those impacts. What the state wants to do is move to a process that will help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and have some measurables behind that. And that is the vehicle miles traveled. They want you to reduce in any new development that you do, you help reduce the total vehicle miles traveled throughout the region. So the distance that individuals travel every day to their job. And that's what they're looking at. So again, the goal there is to reduce the trips and the vehicle and the greenhouse gas emissions associated with that. So you'd imagine, having heard that if we're trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, well, then we could look at mitigation strategies that make sense. So if this proposal is further out into the county, well, then maybe we could just require them to have solar panels or electric vehicle charging stations, things of that nature to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. That does not qualify. In fact, what does, they're looking at large scale fixed transit, bike paths, and frequent bus transportation, which for that, unfortunately, is cost prohibitive for any of these, for most every housing development. I don't want to spend too much time on this slide to get in the weeds, but again, the previous Board of Supervisors had adopted a strategy which would allow a little more lenient for development on county land. This was something that, again, that was approved by them and had already moved forward. Well, this new Board of Supervisors tried sneaking through earlier this year in March a separate proposal that would change the calculation for how vehicle miles traveled is looked at. And without having to spend too much time on that, basically what they're trying to do is limit the distance, the further out projects from being developed. They want to concentrate further development in our urban core away from the county lands. So what does that look like? Based off the initial, what was initially approved, they did a calculation of a VMT of 32.54. That matters because it's showing here the projects that would actually qualify and be allowed to be developed. And those are the efficient areas in green. There's not a lot there. There's not a lot there. But it would allow for almost 19,000 new housing units to be created. That sounds like a decent number. The new County Board of Supervisors are exploring a different proposal that would change things up a little bit. Instead of almost 19,000 permissible units, you're looking at just over 1,000. So as you can see, just to look at the maps, you'll notice here's a little bit of green. That green all but goes away. The way they are looking and exploring this adoption of this new calculation for VMT would essentially ban and prohibit any future development on county lands. And again, looking at a number just over 1,000. This is tremendously problematic, not the least of which it would actually prevent the county from even meeting their regional housing needs assessment goals. In other words, the state requires that regions adopt numbers for expectations for housing units that they must develop during a certain cycle to meet population demands. And each one of our municipalities in the area is allocated a certain number of units they're supposed to build. For the county, they're expected to build almost 7,000 units over the next 8 years. But this provision alone would limit them to just over 1,000. So clearly problematic. What's more, if you were to apply these same standards that they're looking at to any previous development that they've approved since 2013, not a single one of them would be approved. That's 76 projects. And by the way, this information is coming straight from county staff. This isn't information that I've made up. So the calculations they're looking at again would have restricted and will continue to restrict any additional development. We don't need to explore this too much, but other counties, other cities are also looking at doing varying degrees of VMT calculations. What we found is that the county does not have to be as stringent as they are, as they're looking to be. And that is something we are continuing to lean in on. This is an issue, by the way, when it first came down, similar to what we saw with the evictions moratorium. It was brought up very last minute, dropped on a Thursday for a Tuesday vote. Fortunately, several of us got together and, for lack of a better word, we raised a stink and we were able to get it pulled from the docket. And eventually it did come back, but we've had several conversations with the County Board of Supervisors and we're able to delay implementation of some of this, but it will be coming back in January, where they're going to be looking at different, various different proposals, potential amendments to this. So I will be in touch with you all if this is something we're able to move on in January. And here are just some of the many dates that this has come through now, where we have actually weighed in as well. Sea level rise. Broker Bob, how are we doing on time?
We have about 10 minutes.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all a little bit about sea level rise because you might appreciate what is taking place with the California Coastal Commission and the policies that they're pushing that will absolutely affect any coastal properties and certainly your transactions there. So the question at hand is, what rights do coastal property owners have to protect their property from rising seas? Well, for the California Coastal Commission, their priority in many ways is to return our coasts to their natural form. And their natural form does not include homes. So this is something that we've learned and we came across back in 2019. I'll talk about that in a moment. But when we heard about it with what was taking place in Del Mar, realtors up and down the coast actually came together to fight this issue. But what is taking place is the California Coastal Commission is requiring all of our local municipalities along the coast to update their local coastal management programs to account for sea level rise. And they're saying they want you to look at a planning window all the way out to the year 2100. And what that means for them is they're asking for you to look at about 6 feet of sea level rise by that time and to account for that. What they want to see there is adoption of issues such as managed retreat, a revised definition of what you might think is an existing structure, and certainly some allowance for regulatory takings. I'll go over all this in just a moment. But what does 6 feet of sea level rise look like? I don't know if you can see these maps very well, but this is the city of Coronado, before and after 6 feet of sea level rise. And by the way, this is just right off of NOAA's website, and you can actually go on there and adjust the map for these varying degrees, varying feet of sea level rise. But as you can see, at 6 feet, without any sort of protections in place, you're going to see a water inundation throughout the entire, or throughout the middle of the island, and certainly along the southern beaches there. Mission Bay, well, you've heard all the talk of vacation rentals and the concerns there. Well, that won't be too much of a concern based off of this map if 6 feet of sea level rise take place without any protections. A lot of those properties are going to be underwater. Certainly the same thing along coastal La Jolla. A lot of that beach will be washed away. So what are they asking you to do? Well, there's various strategies for responding to sea level rise. The first of which is protection. This is something that we've relied upon in the past, and that allows for armoring, such as seawalls, to address the issue of increased rising tides. Another adaptation strategy is accommodation strategy, where, for instance, you would raise your home or build homes that are on stilts. You've probably seen this along the East Coast in different areas. Of course, that can be very costly. Relocation, and this is where the idea of managed retreat comes into play. What they're saying here is take your home and move it eastward away from the rising tide. And indeed, that's what managed retreat calls for, is take those westward facing homes and move them inland. But I have to ask you, how many of you have sold properties where the property is so large that you can pick up the home and move it eastward without any issues? Typically, you run into roads, you run into infrastructure, you run into other houses before that can take place. So what does that mean? You're condemning that property, you're condemning that home. And that is where a lot of these issues took place. So what they're doing now, the California Coastal Commission is looking to redefine what existing structures are. You and I might think an existing structure is something that you can look and see, and clearly it's there, it exists. Well, as of 2015, the California Coastal Commission is trying to change the definition for existing structure, because the Coastal Act specifically says that existing structures have the right to armoring. They have the right to those protections, such as seawalls. Well, if you can change what an existing structure is, then you can change those rights. So what they are saying now is that an existing structure is only a structure that was in place prior to the adoption or the implementation of the Coastal Act, which was January 1, 1977. So think about any homes that you might be wanting to sell, or that may have been, that are built before or built after, 1977, or may have been renovated since that time. Because if you renovate more than 50%, that constitutes a new build. So that is something that the Coastal Commission is asking for each of the local municipalities to include in their program updates. And here's the information on the guidance where they specifically want to see that existing structure policy. So for us, I mentioned this issue popped up in Del Mar. The city of Del Mar was actually the first in the fight. They were the first who advanced their local coastal program amendment to the California Coastal Commission for approval. The Coastal Commission does have the right to review, and must approve of these policies. Well, what makes Del Mar a unique situation is that if you were to apply those standards of managed retreat in particular, where you take those most westward facing homes and you move them inland, well, if you can see here by this picture, you might notice that those homes along the coast actually sit higher in elevation than the homes behind them. So if you were to remove their seawalls, their protections, and the homes themselves, you would actually sacrifice the entire community behind them. And so naturally, the city council had the wherewithal to see that was an issue and pushed back. And we helped to weigh in most recently when this was brought up on June 7th of this year. What took place eventually is that the city council voted to actually withdraw their local coastal program amendment from consideration by the Coastal Commission. At this point, they are not looking to revisit that conversation with them. The reason why I bring this up is because this is the same issue that is going to be happening at each one of our coastal cities. And certainly what that means is there is a lot of unknown as to what the policies will be and how that could impact coastal real estate. So again, here's where they, during the June 7th meeting, the city council board members voted to withdraw because, among other things, they saw they were trying to push for that managed retreat issue. So how have we responded to this? As I'd mentioned, we actually, after hearing of this, we spoke with several local associations up and down the coast of California, and actually we all banded together and formed a 501, formed a 501c6 organization called Smart Coast California. We've now received just this year alone over $500,000 in grants from the California Association of Realtors and National Association of Realtors to address these issues. We've hired a consultant to always be reviewing, analyzing, and helping us to respond to issues up and down the coast, even in some of the smaller cities. The issue here is we have to be very mindful about precedent. Once something takes place and is adopted in one of our local cities, well, then that makes it easier to move forward and advance throughout the entire state. So we've had a great deal of success so far, and I'm very pleased to report that individual you might see at the top, Carla Farley, the president of Smart Coast, is also the 2021 president of SDAR. So we have been very involved in this from the very beginning. We also have representation on our board from individuals up and down the coast to make sure that we are able to respond and address the unique challenges from each of these coastal areas. But also important to you all is the fact that there is a car sea level rise disclosure that was put in place in June of this year. And that is that's part of the statewide buyer and seller advisory. Important for you to be aware of and to know that that's in place. But I want to leave you with this. One thing that we need from all of our realtors, as you can see here, the impact of the government on our business is tremendously defining, tremendously impactful. So we ask that everyone do at least these three things. First of all, vote. We found out that last year in the last election cycle, more than 20,000 realtors in California were not registered to vote, which is unbelievable. Second, act. Respond to those red alerts that we had discussed. We do our best not to bombard you with red alerts. That is a last resort typically, is getting you all to where you have to do any sort of phone calls or emails. But I do ask this, if you could all get out your phones and text Realtor to 30644, what that would do is that would sign you up to the NAR database where you will receive a text if there's something coming up in our area where we need to take action. Again, this does not take place very often. If you see more than 3 of these a year, I would be surprised. However, again, tremendously important and impactful. And if you feel like you're getting too many, you can unsubscribe. And finally, contribute. The Realtor Action Fund is the way that we ask our realtors to help us out in this fight. It's a voluntary contribution that we ask. We ask everybody to give at least $20. We have several members that give several hundred or even thousands of dollars every year. But especially if you're starting out, or maybe if you're having a slower year, just $20 will help us out tremendously. In fact, the California Association of Realtors requires that we get at least $20 from a minimum of 12% of our members. And if we don't hit that mark, what happens is they restrict the amount of money that's available to us to fight local issues. So all that does is harm us and impact us locally, and certainly affect your business here at the local level. So I will definitely be following up with Broker Bob about the most recent updated numbers for your office, but we're so grateful for all of you who have already contributed. And I'd ask that if everyone else could just make sure to do so. Again, it's just $20 every year. With that, Broker Bob, I'll turn things back over to you.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And I really appreciate your time today. I can't stress enough the impact of that $20 will help be an advocate for you guys on some of these major events that are coming up at the local level that will affect your ability to have more inventory to sell. So that's why I'm bringing this today. And they do send me a list of everybody we did. So I have a naughty and nice lists. I know who's naughty and I know who's nice. And I appreciate the ones so far that have been nice on that list by donating. And without further ado, since we're a little over time, Ryan, thank you for your time. And we're going to pass it over to, don't go anywhere, because there's a credit class from Movement Mortgage from one of their local experts.
Yes,
So we will go right into that.
Please